Welcome to the Layman Seminary. In this video, I'm going to be challenging Brother Graham part 2. And so this is a little bit tricky what we're going to be doing, so I got to break all this down. Number one, Graham has recently reviewed a video where I was reviewing Graham for reviewing Praise's stream, which was focusing on Eli, and Graham was being critical of Eli's argument whenever he was talking about how Calvinists would argue concerning the habitual sense of everything. All right, so let's back that up again. So Graham was reviewing a video where I was reviewing Graham reviewing Praise's stream. And then this all has to do with the content of it, where he was critiquing Eli. So that's why I responded. All right, so now Eli argued as follows. One, Calvinists claim that the present tense in Hebrews 3, I mean not Hebrews, 1 John 3 is habitual, customary habitual. And then therefore they argue that one cannot live a lifestyle or make a habit of sin or whatever. Then Eli points out that as a counter to this, that 1 John 1:8 would be saying is that one continuously have sin. Okay. The point is that Eli was challenging their theology. Okay. And he was focusing on the present tense syntax. That's very important because you'll see in a minute why. Well, when Graham is making his argument against Eli, he's asserting that Eli is wrong since he's using a different verb, and we'll look at that in a minute. And I honestly forgot everything that Graham said, but I of course have it in my response. So when we get to that part of the video, we'll play it and it'll come back to my mind. But honestly, I forgot what he said here. So whenever I made my reply to Brother Graham's video against Eli, what I did was I attempted to focus on the text, okay, and not get into the other stuff that's unnecessary. I'll put it that way. But Brother Graham was right to point out that there were, even in that video where I sought to do that, there were still some points, some sayings that I said preemptively that basically caused him to not even finish reviewing the video because it had already set him off in the wrong direction, I guess you could say. So later on in the video, that if he had gone through and he would have heard me, I think I was saying in that video that this is a reaction video. The nature of a reaction video is you're watching it in real time and you're reacting as you go. It's not the same thing necessarily as a review, okay? And so I applied the same standard that typically Brother Graham does on his own channel, where every few moments he's pausing the video, evaluating the video, and at times it's like it's very difficult to tell what someone said in context. But I mean, we can all fall into that. There's a sweet spot when it comes to all that. And but still, I was trying to clarify the issue by making my video. So the challenge was not a bad challenge, Brother Graham said some stuff in his video that challenged me. So what you're about to see is, we're going to start with Praise's video so that we can see how everything happened in context without the commentary. Then we're going to look at Graham's reaction, and then we're going to look at my video to where I sought to clarify things, to clarify it even more. Okay, so that's the overall structure of what we're going to do. So let me share my screen, share my sound, and we will start with this.
Oh, no, I just wanted to say that
So Eli's talking right now, okay? Now keep in mind, I'm in the stream. That's very important because later on it's going to be said that I didn't know well, I'm going to suspend that too. But just keep in mind, I'm in the stream. I'm hearing everything. I know what's going on. I know the argument.
Yeah, the issue with habitual sin, they like to base it on First John 3:6-9. That he who is born of God doesn't make a practice of sin. So the Greek doesn't have make practice; it has just sin. And the problem of interpreting that as a practice of sin based on the present tense is that chapter 1 says, he who says present tense that he has no sin, so has no sin is a present tense, so has no sin continually. If you say you have no sin continually, you are a liar. So it's the same tense. It's the present tense. So you
The
can't just
present
say,
active participle, right?
And see,
yeah.
so, go ahead. So he's focusing on the present tense of the verb. Keep that in mind. In both passages, the present tense in both passages.
Yeah. So they want to say they can't have it both ways, because if they say that the present tense means continual in chapter 3, then why not say it means the same in chapter 1? He who says he has no continually sin, he is a liar. Same tense.
Oh, I never
You know?
put that together.
Look at the
Oh
Greek. It's
my
present
gosh,
tense.
that is
Look at
so
the Greek.
awesome. What a great
Can
point.
you can you explain that just one more time, because I didn't hear everything?
Well, yeah,
Sure.
it's just 1 John 1:9. You know that, Olive.
Well,
That
yes,
verse.
but I like how he put it.
So
Yeah.
they say that chapter 3, verse 6, they say it means that he who is born of God doesn't make a practice of sin, and they mean he doesn't sin continually. They say that because of the present tense. The problem is the present tense also appears in chapter 1:9, where it says, he who says he has no continually, like in the Greek it's present tense, has no present tense sin, he is a liar. So if you say you don't have a sin continually, you're a liar. So if you say that you have no sin that continues, habitual sin, you're a liar.
Well, that's
If,
fantastic. Thank
So
you.
it would yeah. So you would if you're gonna die in that hill, then you're gonna have to
yeah,
take the baggage with it too. Then
look at the Greek of 1:9, where it says has no, the having there is a present tense. So if you say you have no sin continually, you're a liar.
wow.
That's
So if
the
they want to
logic.
argue
really
present
good.
tense there, yeah. So like you're gonna have to if you want to live by that that Greek principle, then you're gonna have to die with it too in First John 1:9.
Yeah.
Great point.
And then you get a contradiction.
Right. And this is sort of similar to like when the Jehovah's Witnesses are trying to interpret it John 1:1 as a God. But then you read through their translation and you see how they don't translate the definite article. The lack of the article in other places the same way. They're being inconsistent with their claim. Now, of course, all interpretive decisions are contextual, but the point is they're being dogmatic. And that's what I've been trying to say from the beginning. Y'all make these present active participle continuous habitual, or present tense continuous habitual. You act like that's the only option that you have. Tell people about the gnomic. Tell people these other options where they can make a decision instead of you just poof, I mentioned Greek and then thinking you're winning the argument.
Well, it's kind of like John 6:44 too, because the Calvins they say the word draw there means like Aries.
Okay, so y'all get the idea for that. All right, so now we're going to go to Brother Graham's video. Forgive me if I misspell his name. Whoa, if that. Well, I really misspelled that. I better get closer to the keyboard there. I think the issue is I'm calling him Brother Graham because he is a brother. I receive him in faith. There he is. A review of Charles' video on me. Let's go there. 22 hours ago, guys. We'll refresh this. It just worked right
Hey,
whenever I
Kevin.
did it. I have to wait.
Hey, g'day, Kevin.
Good day.
So we've been Good day. So we've been working on doing this video for quite some time. Well, I have been, and I think earlier you were not planning on joining me, but today it's worked out that you went, oh yeah, let's review that today. I've had the opportunity to do this because yeah, my time is limited, so it is a little bit difficult. But this video is entitled Challenging Grahame Gould. Previously, Charles had called it So You Think You Understand Free Grace, and he's got it as part of his So You Think You Understand Free Grace series. And let's get into it.
And so the reason I have the series title So You Think You Understand Free Grace is because I try to do my best in general to not mention names unless I see that the person it's just getting to that point where things are just escalating, and I'm like, okay, well, I need to mention names, let people know what's going on, who I'm addressing, and all of that. And so that's why I changed the title of the video, or part of the reason.
Do it. If you don't mind bringing that off, thanks for putting it up. But right.
Welcome to the Layman's Seminary. I thought I was going to rest me and Free Grace Notes Taylor. We just did a stream, but then I noticed that Brother Grahame made a video against Free Grace, and he's actually lashing out against Eli. So that probably means he's probably lashing out against me.
So that probably means he's probably lashing out against me. But why would you assume that? So Charles.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Brother Grahame, well, maybe the word lash is not the best word, but I mean, you're going to take every opportunity to reply to me. I mean, or review me or critique me, and that's fine. That's what you do. And okay, that's fine. But I mean, to say, why would I think that? I mean, well, show me it's not true. Don't review me. Don't critique me. Don't even mention my name. I kind of doubt you will go that path.
Jennings thinks he's so vital to fake grace that I'm going to.
Well, even if I was so vital to free grace, he's using that slur on fake grace. Every believer in the body of Christ is vital to each other in studying or whatever. And as one that articulates free grace in the debate community, I think I am vital in one sense, not because I think I'm the best debater out there and the best articulator of free grace, but I'm the one that has the heart that's willing to get out there and be a pioneer in certain areas. Don't get me wrong, there's been other professional free grace debates and stuff, but learning how to debate, that's a whole process, a technique. It's a challenge of character and stuff, and communication and all this type of stuff. So it challenges me too. So I mean, I'm growing in it, and my whole thing is this: if he didn't think I was a threat, he wouldn't even address me. He wouldn't even bring my name up. Now he might flip it and say, well, why are you bringing me up? Well, Grahame, I want clarification. I want communication. Whether we formally debate in the future or not, I want to clarify things as much as possible. And believe me, if I can make a review video where I'm dealing with an argument that doesn't upset you and throw you off from wanting to listen to the rest of the video, then that's what I'll do. I want to work on that. I want to strive for excellence in those areas. So that's the goal. That's why I'm doing this.
I have to lash out against him when Eli says something. What a bizarre comment.
I was in the same stream. I was talking at the same time. I was pointing up and confirming the things that Eli said. So I have every reason to believe that I was going to get mentioned in the video, even though he had mentioned Eli. And the reason he probably mentioned Eli is because Eli was the prominent name. Eli is very skilled, very knowledgeable in several different areas, and he has professional ministry and things like that. And when you put somebody's name in a video, any old name in a video chat, then okay, you took it to a whole nother level. Well, Eli has a lot of things going on, but you know what? I don't have a problem responding, and so that's what I did. and maybe someone could say, well, you jumped in it. Well, I was in the stream. I wanted to bring clarification. He used that as an opportunity to misrepresent what we were saying. Whether he intended to do that or not, that was the opportunity that arisen. And so that's where we're at.
A couple other things like that. So we're going to just deal with this little short video of his and maybe catch some others, you know. There's no telling who.
So you didn't bother listening to it. You just started imagining what it was about.
That's what reaction videos are. Did he bother listening to this video first? He said he did. You know, he thought about all this. So keep that in mind. So what that basically means is that even though he's making this video sound like it's a reaction video, as if he's just playing and listening to it, that's just stylistic. In other words, he's got his talking points already laid out, you know, and whereas I just framed the discussion, you know, with my little bitty PowerPoint in the very beginning with the scribble that I put on the thing on there to let you know what we're doing and what the issue is. But he's already got a plan here, you know, so you can even say agenda if you want. And of course, you could also say everybody has an agenda.
Get it tonight. I know my phone is charging, so I can't see the comment section right now. But just please bear with me. Let me make sure my sound is actually playing.
Chapman! And contra Charlie Michaels, I'm not playing so that people can be. I'm not playing this at an increased speed. I'm playing at 1.5 at the moment to censor Charlie. I understood you perfectly well. It is astounding to me that you think that I'm censoring you. What you couldn't understand yourself, does your brain?
He's talking to Charlie Michaels, and so I'll skip that part.
Work as slow. I actually gave a link to the video.
This guy, don't tell him what he'll do. Let's make it.
This guy, no telling what he'll do. Yep, start poisoning the well before I even begin speaking.
He's accusing me of poisoning the well, and maybe that is a statement and everything, but that is the nature of a reaction video. And keep in mind, he's already seen this video. This is not a reaction video for him. This is more of a review for him. And so he is strategically pointing out poisoning the well, basically accusing me of a fallacy.
Let me change the speed because this guy, don't tell him what he'll do. Let's make it.
Some more stupidity from the fake graces that call themselves free graces, but I'm not going to call them that. They're fake graces and antinomians. Praise is a leading.
Amen. Engage with name calling stuff. Unless Graham wants to formally debate.
So you hear what I said? I'm not really trying to get into that stuff. I can't remember the exact words, but I said, unless Graham wants to formally debate, let's see what he says.
I've offered to formally debate, but
now he's saying he loves to formally debate. All right. Anyway, let's let him explain.
This is astounding to me. I've offered to formally debate this lying scum.
Do you see how he so easily knew exactly where to go in his chats where Honesty Angel makes her comments that he won't debate anyone, and then he's using this as an opportunity to get mad, yell, and just basically feel like everybody's picking on me, you know, this righteous indignation that he's claiming to have.
Scumbag.
And he loves using the word scumbag, and he just used it right now, you know.
Comment. It's a shame he won't debate anyone. That's a lie.
It's not a lie. You've said that several times that you did not want to debate.
That used to be my position. No, I despise debate.
Is it a lie whenever you say that? What does that mean? Do you mean it's saying that currently is a lie? You don't accuse someone of a lie just because they're not aware of the additional information. You could say, let me update you or something. You just don't throw out the word lie whenever a person, for all practical purposes that we could see, is trying to represent you accurately.
Debates, I won't debate. I've changed my position. Am I allowed to do that? Am I allowed to change?
Yes, you're allowed to change your position.
My mind. Oh, no. You've got to have this straw man version of me.
I don't have to have a straw man version of you. You are showing yourself to be the straw man, you know?
Stuck solid in ice.
And what I mean by a straw man is, well, you've seen Wizard of Oz.
But Graham, I have to ask, you know, and you're a really good friend of mine, you know, and I appreciate you.
So Kevin's basically going to bring up at this point, and I have listened to this video before. Kevin's going to bring up this point. Do you think you're mature enough to in so many words to debate me?
Do you think you have the temperament to put up with someone's position like Charles in a like a, let's say, because usually,
And that's a valid thing. I mean, Graham can grow in that area, and maybe that's why he should debate, so that he can exercise self-control in that area. But you see, we barely even got into the beginning of this video, and he's already losing his cool. You know,
debates go for at least 2 hours, like hour and 50 minutes or so. Like, could you stomach 2 hours of him twisting scripture and making points that you're like, this is dumb? Like, do you have the temperament for that? Are you sure you can handle that?
Probably not, but I will
in other words, are you going to rage quit? I think that's basically what he's saying. Could you put up with that?
tolerate it, at least for the first part. And at least the first part will show that these are liars. They'll focus on the
First part would be the openings and the rebuttal. But he's basically saying he couldn't handle the cross exam.
second half, which is what they always do. Oh, look, see, Graham got angry immediately, like Deckel accused me of on the stream. Immediately. And it's always a lie. It's not immediate.
No, it's not immediate. I mean, let's back up and let's count how long it took before we heard him raise his voice. All right, so 33 seconds in, I'm starting to play right now.
But this video is entitled Challenging Grahame Gould. Previously, Charles had called it So You Think You Understand Free Grace, and he's got it as part of his So You Think You Understand Free Grace series. And let's get into it. If you don't mind bringing that off, thanks for putting it up. But right.
Welcome to the Layman Seminary. I thought I was going to rest me and Free Grace Notes Taylor. We just did a stream, but then I noticed that Brother Graham made a video against Free Grace, and he's actually lashing out against Eli. So that probably means he's probably lashed out against me.
So that probably means he's probably lashing out against me. Why would you assume that?
So you can tell that he's a little frustrated, but I wouldn't call this anger. You know, I wouldn't call this raising his voice. So he's good right here. 1 minute 34 in.
Charles Jennings thinks he's so vital to fake grace that I'm going to have to lash out against him when Eli says something. What a bizarre comment.
A couple other things like that. So we're going to just deal with this little short video of his and maybe catch some others, you know. And there's no telling
So you didn't bother listening to it. You just started imagining what it was about.
I didn't bother listening to it. Okay. I understand that. I already dealt with that. But like I said, I was in the video, the original video. This has happened once before with Veckel. You know, same thing. We're viewing this and he just, Brother Graham jumps in and misunderstands what's being said.
to get it tonight. I don't. My phone is charging, so I can't see the comment section right now. But just please bear with me. Let me make sure my sound is actually playing.
Chapman.
And contra Charlie Michaels, I'm not meant to censoring you. What you stand this perfectly. Censorship, Charlie Michaels. You're telling what I'll do.
Let's make it.
Praise is leading.
Amen.
Engage with name calling stuff. Unless Graham wants to formally debate.
I've offered to formally debate, but this is astounding to me. I've offered.
This is astounding to me. Okay. Watch, guys, watch. So we're 3 minutes in.
To formally debate this lying scumbag.
Lying scumbag. He's already be the judge. I mean, what else do you call this? He didn't keep his cool. He says it at the beginning. Well, the video is an hour long and you already 3 minutes in and you're already losing your cool. Well, don't you consider that at the beginning? Now, maybe he's just talking about debate specifically, but he hasn't hardly done any debates. So I don't know how he could even say that.
And here's a comment. It's a shame he won't debate anyone. That's a lie. That used to be my position. No, I despise debates. I won't debate. I've changed my position. Am I allowed to do that? Am I allowed to change my mind? Oh, no. You've got to have this straw man version of me that's stuck solid in ice.
But Graham, I have to ask, you know, and you're a really good friend of mine, you know, and I appreciate you. Do you think you have the temperament to put up with someone's position like Charles in a like a, let's say, because usually debates go for at least 2 hours, like hour and 50 minutes or so. Like, could you stomach 2 hours of him twisting scripture and making points that you're like, this is dumb? Like, do you have the temperament for that? Are you sure you can handle that?
Probably not, but I will tolerate it, at least for the first part. And at least the first part will show that these are liars. They'll focus on the second half, which is what they always do. Oh, look, see, Graham got.
We're liars. How can you show us we're liars? You could show that our position is inconsistent, that it's illogical, that it's not biblical. But how can you show anybody that we're liars? So saying he's throwing this word lie around left and right.
Angry immediately.
That shouldn't be where we go. He said not angry immediately.
immediately, like Beckel accused me of on the stream. Immediately. And it's always a lie. It's not immediate.
Was it a lie this time in this video?
Or very, very rarely is it immediate. But it's always immediately. Blah, 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 blah.
Because Graham, I will say, I think you have a lot of fantastic points and exegesis to bring to these kinds of discussions and debates and stuff. If you could just learn to be more tolerant of stupidity, like or of your opponent's position and refuting them, I think you would be excellent in the debate arena. But you gotta try to get the temperament under better.
I think I'm learning, Kevin. I think I did a lot better with Beckel than I would have previously.
So one thing I like about Grahame is admitting, you know, his struggles, where he's difficult, and he's getting better. You know, that's great.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yes, you did.
And so,
but
will
that
I
was
be perfect? No.
I think the thing with Beckel, though, that was only half the duration of like a regular debate. Like if you
I understand that. I understand that. But
yeah,
I still think good will be accomplished by it in the first bit. In the first bit, there will be enough stuff revealed, and Charles will have to commit to paper exactly what he believes, and then I can review it later, and I can continue to review it. I can continue to work on this. And if Charles is prepared...
Yeah, that's exactly what I want. I love peer review stuff, you know, so that's great. I have no problem with that, but I mean, please don't just call me a lying scumbag, you know, and things like that.
To accept that, yep, I might get angry, and whoever's the moderator, okay, will just mute me.
Yeah, I'm prepared to that, and but see, now he's talking about moderation, but SFT will moderate, you know, and Kevin's going to point that out in a second.
I am not going to unmute myself. If I get muted by the moderator, I noticed that you didn't even attempt to mute me last night.
No, here's the thing about Charles is that when I've watched a few of Charles' debates, and he tends to raise his voice during a debate where he, hey, so
yeah, I know.
And you're right. And now, not in my last debate, but the debate before that, I tried to sit back in my chair because it made my back better, but my microphone was farther away. Like even right now, I'm sitting back in my chair a little bit sideways because of my back, and I'm throwing my voice up towards the microphone. Well, in those videos, I was too far back. If you saw some Matt Slake's earlier videos, like Google Plus days, I was kind of sitting back like how he used to, but he had good sound even back then. And so I was trying to project my voice up, you know, and things like that. But in my last debate, I set up close to the mic, even though it bothered me a little bit as far as my back and everything, you know. I recognize that there's things that I got to tweak, you know, things I got to do differently. And because I have asthma, I speak a lot from my diaphragm. A lot of times I'm running out of breath, and part of that's because I'm fat, and part of it's because of my asthma, you know. But still, there's things I've been watching different videos on YouTube and stuff about how to moderate your voice and how to communicate. And, you know, there's all kinds of videos like that. And some of them are going to stick with me, and some are going to be over my head and things like that. But I'm willing to do whatever it takes to communicate for the audience, you know. I want to improve, and I appreciate the challenge. So that's what I'm working on.
I know it's such hypocrisy. It's such hypocrisy from this lying scumbag. And all of these people that are in his camp ignore how he gets angry. And so does Prey.
I don't understand who's lying. What are we lying about? Now he might say, "Oh, you're lying about the gospel." Well, that's your assertion, all right? You know, and what he's trying to say is nobody gets mad at me if I yell or raise my voice or whatever, you know, they're perceiving this as. And I'm like, you don't understand. I'm already working on my voice and communication and stage presence and all of that stuff because I pay attention to what the comments said, you know, like with Kelly Powers and things like that.
These people can do the same that I do, but it's only wrong when I do it.
No.
If you ever watch, Graham, if you ever watch him when he debates, when he gets annoyed, his voice, it's not that he's yelling, you know, he's talking louder and he speeds up the way he starts talking.
I'm projecting my voice, and yes, and there is a sense where, yes, I am talking faster because I am getting hyped, and my mouth is starting to keep up with some of the things that are flying through my brain, you know, like I'm freestyling basically. So I'm not saying Kevin's wrong here,
Talking really fast. Yeah.
but I got to work on that. You know,
Yeah, I know. I've heard him,
kind of sounds like Dino Flintstones when he's making fun of me.
and that wasn't a good imitation, but it gives people a little bit of an idea.
I'm just saying, if you're going to debate Charles, that's something you have to be prepared to put up with and not
Yeah, I
give
know.
into it. And just, yeah.
I know, but that's why I need a moderator who will not let him get away with it either.
See, this seems to be against SFT here.
Like if they're going to hold me to, oh no, you can't start yelling and talking over your opponent. Okay, we'll hold him to it as well. And
That's
if
why
I'm
I
a
would-
moderator that does that, okay, yeah, I might get angry. Just mute me.
So here's the thing. So, Donnie, so when Kelly Powers was debating Charles and Charles started doing that to Kelly, Kelly didn't engage with his stupidity. All he said is moderator. And then Donnie stepped in. He's like, okay, Charles, gentlemen, okay, let's get back on.
So the whole thing with Kelly's debate, number one, I didn't have the same microphone, you know, and so Kelly had a great microphone and he was able to speak real close and drown me out, you know, and he was just being totally evasive. Nobody else gives me problems like that in asking questions and answering questions. Everything just flows. Just compare my other debates like that. The only ones that have been hostile is mainly Dr. Helms, and like I said, they're two that kind of are very similar, at least, you know. And but yeah, I just, you know, you learn from different things. The Dr. Helms issue was something totally different. The Kelly issue was different as well, you know, from that even. And maybe I'll go into detail about that. I thought about making some shorts, like what I have learned from debating, you know, the different things to learn on what a person should work on, so that others that take this road that I've taken don't fall into the same traps, you know, that type of thing like that.
On the point here, I'll get back to the question. So Donnie will do that, but you have to ask for it. He's not going to stop it immediately. You have to say moderator.
And that's what I appreciate about Kelly, is that Kelly doesn't engage back in that antagonistic way, which I think is good. It makes for a debate. But the problem with it is that unless you call out Charles when he does it, then he gets away with it. People let him get away with it. And they pretend, oh yeah, but Charles is so reasonable and sensible and blah, 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 when he does exactly the same as me in a slightly different way, but it's still exactly the same.
You want to see terrible debate etiquette? Look at the way he traded Larry Holmes on their debate.
Kevin is still stuck on that. I guarantee if Kevin knew the things I knew, he would have responded in the way I did. That doesn't mean the things that how I responded was right. I should have kept it professional, you know. But you know, they could talk all they want. You know, I got 16 debates underneath my belt. I'm constantly being challenged by different beliefs, different personalities, different systems, different, you know, all of these different things. And I'm constantly adapting. I'm constantly improving. I'm constantly working on something. So, you know, they can criticize me and everything, but, you know, let them debate. See how well they do. You know, I mean, Kevin's got a few debates, but my point is that they're just not being graceful in their analysis of things.
Look at the guy has a disability. Okay, he's like legally blind or going blind. And Charles was.
Yeah, well,
It was terrible.
I remember you telling me that about that one. It was disgusting. I haven't.
Yeah.
I don't think I've watched it. But yeah, maybe we should review that sometime, and that'll help me prepare if I ever do debate Charles. But it'll help me prepare for debating other people as well.
I really have nothing to say about all that. I just want to refute the arguments.
Member of this community, Charles. Yeah. Well, see, the argument, the reason I call them fake races is because of the argument. It's not just empty name calling. That's another straw man from.
Okay, all right. I'll work on not saying empty name. I was talking about what behavior I won't do, but I noticed that if I say I won't do something, he thinks that I'm applying that he's doing it, that I'm saying I'll rise to a better level. And, you know, so it says that. So, okay, in the future, I will try not to do that. Or was that just an example of me doing what I just said I would not do? I don't know. Y'all figure out the paradox.
Charles. Yes, I am calling you a name, but you don't say about Jesus, oh, he's just name calling, I'm going to ignore it. No, the name calling is accurate when it comes to Jesus. You can't just assume that it's not when
Is it accurate whenever you call us liars and scumbags?
it comes to me. You actually have to show that it's not accurate.
Well, you actually got to step in the ring, and until you don't, then we can just continually engage in right here, you know, through different videos. I'm totally ignoring Charlie Michaels, and I commend you for taking on Charlie Michaels, in that sense. But I'm more concerned for you. I have more of a, if you want to use the term relationship with you. I'm not against you, but you're against free grace. There's no doubt about it. And I'm not even anti-lordship. I fellowship and I study with other people and stuff. However, if I'm asked to speak on an issue or teach on an issue, I'm going to teach on that. It's nothing personal. I'm just representing the Father's business from my perspective, and you're doing the same thing from your perspective. I want you to be faithful to the light that you have.
See, this is another disgusting debate tactic of cultists like Charles Jennings.
So now I'm going to quote this. So this is an attempt to be a guilty by association. Please classify exactly how I'm a cultist. In what way do you talk about? Are you talking about in the sociological sense? Are you talking about in the religious sense? What ways am I a cultist? Please explain how free grace theology is a cult. And then differentiate yourself from that and tell me why you do not fall short by that same standard. Just because you call something a cult doesn't mean it actually is. And then he'll say, but I said cultish or cultic, Okay. Well, still, you're using strong words, and you need to back those up.
I'm going to respond to the name calling, which is actually an argument. I'm making an argument here.
Okay, you're making an argument. Good, because now I'm telling you to support your argument. How, in what way am I cultish or a cult?
Because I do believe you're a fake gracer, Charles. And I've made my argument numerous times if you want to engage with the argument.
Step in the ring, man. Step in the ring. Make it formal debate and let the people decide.
Argument of why I call you these names. Those names are an argument. But sure, be a moron. Crazy.
Be a moron. See? I mean, Graham, do you talk to your wife like this? Because my wife would not let me talk like this. Do you selectively decide how you're going to address certain people? If so, then you're dealing with bully behavior. And you preach and all that stuff. You say you want to work on this stuff, but yet in the same breath, you're using liar, scumbag, moron, and all of this stuff. And of course, you can go to a defense and say, oh, well, those are not bad words or things like that. Listen to Kevin for once. You can accomplish more if you would just work on your patience. If you can just work on how you talk to people. I'm working on it. We can work on it together. Not necessarily with me helping you and you helping me, but I'm just saying that that's something where we can both be challenged, and maybe the debate preparation and the audience and arena, whatever term you want to use, is helpful in that.
And I'm calling you a moron because I just made an argument why I'm calling you a moron, in case you're still too stupid to understand. Oh, that's just empty name calling.
All right. So see, he's just trying to clean that up and everything. So I guess in his standpoint, if a woman is acting a certain way, there's nothing wrong with calling her that way, because you made an argument that you're basically saying, I'm calling what I see. Is that substantially what you're saying? Is you're calling what you see? Is that really what your argument is, Graham? Or are you calling what you want to see and what you want your audience to see?
Moron. Deleting.
I'm not even going to engage with the name calling stuff.
No. Yeah, of course not. Coward.
Wants to formally debate.
So I'm a coward now. I'm not going to engage with the name calling stuff, so I'm a coward. Yet I'm willing to engage with the exegetical stuff, and I'm willing to formally debate him. But yet I'm a coward. Okay.
Really have nothing to say about all that. I just want to refute the arguments.
Member of this community, and Charles, within our broader network, the people that tend to visit my channel are well aware of these scum. So let's listen to something that happened recently on Praise's stream. They were reviewing a debate between Dr. Michael Brown and Corey Minor. Oh, now, let me go back to, so where are we? 2 minutes and 11 seconds. Let me go back to Charles's opening statements again, because I could be wrong.
Welcome to the Layman Seminary. I thought I was going to rest. Me and Free Grace Notes, Taylor, we just did a stream, but then I noticed that Brother Graham made a video against Free Grace, and he's actually lashing out against Eli. So that probably means he's probably lashing out against me and a couple of...
See, notice how this scumbag phrases it as attacking the...
So you notice when he played back the video, he couldn't keep his calm. Earlier when he played this part of the video, he was kind of calm, but he's already worked up now. So everything that he hears again, even though it's the same content, he's worked up.
Person when I'm actually attacking the argument, but ignore that I'm attacking the argument and then
Okay, attack the argument, attack it in debate.
make the whole thing about just attacking the person. I'm attacking the argument, you moron. Oh, you imbeciles.
Other things like that.
It's sad, really sad.
So we're gonna just deal with this little shite. Welcome to the Layman Seminary. I thought I was gonna rest. Me and Free Grace Notes Taylor, we just did a stream, but then I noticed that Brother Graham made a video against Free Grace, and he's actually lashing out against Eli. So that probably means he's probably lashed out against me and a couple other things like that.
No, I'm lashing out against Free Grace, you imbecile. You're lashing out against me. Yeah, see, keep trying to make it personal, moron.
Okay, well, it's not personal, it's just business. And right now, you brought challenges to me in different areas, and I'm bringing challenges to you. So we can keep this as long as you want to go. You know, I can keep it respectful, and I could probably outdo you. I could probably outdo you on taking the higher road, and taking the most exegetical road. What are you going to do? Are you going to step up? Are you going to improve yourself? Are you going to develop character? Are you going to work in these areas? Or are you just going to stay at this level right here?
Mark, can you please close the door? This is not a barn. They were reviewing a debate between Dr. Michael Brown and Corey Minor about OSAS, and somehow this other topic comes up.
Present tense. Has no present tense. Sin.
So let's go back.
Doesn't make a practice of sin. And maybe doesn't.
Well, yeah, I like how he put it.
So they say that chapter 3, verse 6.
So we're talking about 1 John 3:6, and some people want to translate that as that which is born of God does not practice sin. And so the fake gracer uses that interpretation to try and then backload it into chapter 1. And Eli gets the verse wrong, but let's listen to him.
They say
He's not even understanding what the argument is.
Oh, I haven't even started on the argument yet.
He didn't get it. I'm in the original stream. You can see my avatar in there with Eli. I know what the argument is, and I know what his argument is against it because I made the video in response to it. And no, I didn't watch the video, but you can tell. I think look at the playlist. Look at the thumbnail, guys. It's Greek. I could tell right then and there from that thumbnail that you see in the side that you're dealing with the issue about the present tense just by looking at the thumbnail. And plus, I knew Eli's argument, and he says he didn't even get into the argument. I'm not talking about Graham's argument. I'm talking about Eli's argument. He doesn't understand Eli's argument when Eli is quoting how the Calvinists argue, following that by a counter, and then Graham comes in and attacks the counter. That's what happens.
Some people interpret it as practice sin. I haven't made an argument. I haven't presented.
We're not talking about you. We're talking about the Calvinists that Eli's talking about.
An argument. I haven't presented the argument of what's being argued by Eli. I'm letting him explain it. You are one of the most disgustingly moronic, arrogant fools on the planet.
Are y'all hearing this?
He's not understanding the argument. You haven't listened to the argument. You haven't even bothered to listen. You didn't bother listening to the video. You didn't bother listening.
So he wants me to hold to the standard. I guess from now on, before I make a video, after this one, if I make a video, I'll listen to it first before I give a reaction, because he otherwise he's going to say, well, I didn't even listen to the video. Well, how is he listening to me when he's stopping every moment? If I wouldn't have made that PowerPoint in the very beginning and showing you how all this reacted, none of y'all would probably understand what's going on, because Brother Graham didn't even understand what was going on here whenever I was talking about Eli's argument, not Graham's argument or not Eli's argument against Graham. That's not what's going on here. And so the same thing happened with Veckel. And Veckel's like, no, Graham misunderstood us. You know, so this constantly happens. And if you're not listening to somebody, if you're allowing your emotions to get to you, you know, and you're just going to this name calling level, whether you think it represents an argument or not, You're not in the mode to observe carefully. You're just observing and seeing what you want to see, to say what you want to say. And like I said, this is not a reaction video coming from Graham. This is a review video where he's strategically saying these things to try to undermine actually evaluating the video and the arguments. He does it a little bit, but not fully, and he doesn't even get through the whole video. Maybe he'll save that for later. And maybe he won't go into the same level of I also call it temper tantrum.
Wow, this is stupid. So you've already decided I don't understand the argument before you hear me say anything.
Some statements don't need a reply.
The reason he was talking about the practice idea is
Oh, can we just listen to Eli explain it? And
I'm not saying I ain't never done that before, but come on. He's mocking things like a 2-year-old or a 4-year-old right here. This is straight up regression. If a psychologist was evaluating this, they would say that this is regressive behavior.
then me reply, oh,
because he was showing that
Listen to the noises that are coming out of him. It's a good thing I'm not one of those extreme charismatics that thinks everyone is possessed or whatever. Because I mean, this guy's making all kinds of weird noises and everything.
you have to make contextual decisions based on how to take the present tense. It's not always customary habitual. That's the point. I think I
oh, he speaks so much slower than me.
even bring that up in the stream. Let's see if Graham
I'm not
actually
interested in listening to you,
includes it. And I have
Charles. I want to hear what you say about what I say about
Okay, if you want to hear what I have to say, then listen.
Eli when I've actually said it.
He's not even, he won't even let me get to that point. It's like I'm trying to explain Eli's argument against the Calvinists, and he's jumping in as if Eli or I are making the argument against Graham, and that's not what we're doing.
video on 1 John, by the way. But let's go.
It means that he who is born of God doesn't make a practice of sin, and they mean he doesn't sin continually. They say that because of the present tense. The problem is the present tense also appears in chapter 1:9, where it says,
Present tense of a different verb.
You hear that? Present tense of a different verb. Okay, fine. But the issue is how to take the present tense and syntax, not how do you take the present tense and syntax with the particular verb.
Which is the point that I tried to make. Is Charles going to listen to that?
he who says he has no continually.
Not, I understood your point.
Like in the Greek, it's present tense. Has no present tense. Sin, he's a liar.
So he only focuses on the tense of the verb.
Yeah, so now you're seeing that he's only focusing on the tense. What's your point? He's talking about syntax. He's not talking about the action start, which would well, technically action start can include those things, but you're arguing from lemma, you're arguing from lexical, and he's focusing on just talking about why not to use the customary habitual syntactical category for every time you see a present tense.
He doesn't focus on any other aspect, including the fact that it's a different verb.
So if you say you don't have a sin continually,
Now, he's right that there's a present tense, but it's a completely different verb.
Okay, well, fine. All right. Deal with the passage. It says he's no sin. All right. People are going to misspeak. People are going to get verses wrong and all that. You know, to get the level of accuracy that you're talking about, whatever. It's not like Eli said, hey, I'm going to prepare and come on, praise the stream. No, he's going from memory, you know, and
Oh,
anyway,
I'm sorry. I forgot that truth doesn't matter.
So truth doesn't matter just because I said he's going from memory. How do you get there, guys? I'm just saying that there's a difference between preparing something and delivering something, whereas speaking impromptu off the cuff. You know, does that mean that Graham's reaction to this video right now is not caring about truth because he's just freestyling right here?
He's going from memory. Okay, but that's not the point. Okay, so he made a mistake. We'll correct the mistake.
Correct the mistake. I did. He quoted 1:9 and he meant 1:8. Big deal. What's your point? It's not an issue about the present tense.
Don't blame me. Oh, Graham doesn't understand. Well, how can I understand if he's not presenting the argument accurately?
he is presenting the argument accurately. He's talking about the present tense in both passages. He's not talking about the lexem.
Don't blame me. Good gracious, Charles. But you've accused me of not understanding it before you've even listened. Oh, okay. Oh, no. See, notice how cultists operate? Because Eli's in his
I'm a cultist, right?
camp. Oh, no. I can excuse everything that he does. If I had have done that, Charles would have been all over me. Charles just assumes that I'm wrong.
This is the no fair. Everybody else gets to do these things and no one else gets to do them. I mean, this is childish and we can all fall to this level. But I mean, there's just some deep psychological wounds here that he's just crying out from.
Before he even listens to a single thing that I have to say. Go and examine what the verse actually says. And by the way, I reject the interpretation.
Let me make sure that I'm being heard. 6 people are watching, so I guess they're hearing me.
That which is born of God does not practice sin. So that's
You reject that interpretation. So do most free grace. What's your point? It's a decision that has to be made based on the Greek syntax, the syntactical category.
What do you mean, what's my point? I'm trying to understand Eli's point.
Okay, if you really want to understand Eli's point, Eli's saying the Calvinist wants to argue for continuous habitual of the present tense in 1 John 3. He says, but they're not consistent because in 1 John 1:8, the customary habitual would be used in there and it would cause a contradiction. That's the point of what Eli's saying.
And the babbling heads on this channel all go, oh, that's such a great point. Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, it's not a great point. That's a
They understood the argument. You didn't, Graham.
terrible translation.
It's not an issue of translation.
It's a different verb anyway.
Yeah, it's a different verb, but what's your point? It has the same syntactical force because it's a present tense, and therefore it has different classifications that it can be used for syntactically or as action start.
And that's
So
Kevin, you got Wallace's grammar. Run through the present tense and teach him how, and you'll be teaching yourself too. How do you evaluate a passage whenever you're dealing with the present tense? How do you properly exegete verbs and stuff?
he makes 2 mistakes. It's a different verb, and he doesn't even get the verse right.
If he's never ever claiming that it's the same verb, it's not a mistake. He's talking about the present tense. Okay, he didn't get the verse right. He mentioned 1:9. Okay, big deal.
And all of the bobbing heads just go, oh yeah, oh wow, wonderful point. And it's like, it's a terrible point.
So you're saying that you're mad because they extended grace to him?
How about you actually go study scripture? What does scripture say?
So now we haven't actually studied scripture. Graham, when's the last time? Let me ask you something, Graham, since we're at this. And I'm just curious, I could be wrong about this. Did you talk about Greek syntax this much before you met me? Did any of y'all talk about it? And what I mean is Kevin, others out there. Did y'all go into this much detail concerning the languages and all of this? Whether y'all like it or not, I've had an influence on y'all. You know, and I intend to win y'all over. And the way that I'm gonna win y'all over is getting better at debating, and better at my mannerisms, better with my voice, better at all those types of things. And I think eventually y'all will respect me, you know. And if you don't, then I did my best. You know, an offended brother is like, it's harder to win over than a walled city. I think that's how the proverb says. And I never had issues with y'all. I just want to do exegesis together and help y'all in skill. But you know what? If y'all being opposed to me causes you to go deeper into the Greek and all of this stuff, then so be it. You know, if y'all got to become my enemy in order to advance in your spirituality, and in your skills and in your ministry, then so be it. God can use even that.
Hey, no, let's just hear what Eli has to say. Oh yeah, that's wonderful. Because all of the fake racists love this garbage.
Welcome to the layman seminary. You know, it's not garbage. The ability that Eli has to recount things, you know, to from memory, to internalize things the way he has, he's sharper than me in lots of areas. And you know, if you think I'm just saying that because, oh, well, he's free grace. Oh, I could tell you areas where I disagree with them, but I could tell you where there's people that disagree with me that are sharp in certain areas. Corey Minor is sharp, but he disagrees with me. You know, so don't think I'm just fanboying or standing or whatever just because Eli's free grace. No, I respect him because of what he knows, what his experience, and how he's contributing things.
Comes from understanding the context.
2 mistakes that I believe Eli is making. But
Okay, you're so great at pointing out these exegetical sins.
oh, good gracious. This is a problem, Charles. You're so great at pointing out these exegetical sins. Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate.
Well, what would you like me to call him? And then plus I'm being sarcastic here, right? And he's taking it as a compliment, you know. So either he doesn't take social cues or he's just plain stupid.
The fact that you appreciate how accurate I am. Thank
Or
you.
maybe he's being sarcastic about in sarcastic response.
You for accepting that I try to be accurate.
No, I have no problem with you being accurate and everything. If you want to be accurate, then that's fine. But don't call people liars and scumbags and morons and imbeciles because they're not as accurate as you want them to be or how you perceive them to be. That's just perfectionism. That's just another form of legalism.
Things. Keep making a straw man out of it, imbecile.
Well, I mean, until you put some meat on them bones, you're going to look like a straw man.
Sorry, Kevin, I have to go.
And that you need to eat the spiritual food and you need to lift the spiritual weights and you need to get in that spiritual ring.
At least, I don't know for how long.
Yep. Be right back. That's cool.
So let's keep saying it. Well, it would have been nice if you had have actually listened to me instead of trying to make this as antagonistic as possible. It means practicing in verse 6 of chapter 3. That's got nothing to do.
I did not make this antagonistic possible. I'm trying to focus on the arguments. But okay.
With chapter 1.
He doesn't understand the argument. Eli is charging the Calvinists and other people that want to argue that whenever it says not sin, that it's talking about continuous or habitually. And he's saying, then you got to be consistent.
Well, explain the argument, Charles. Stop just saying, see, this is what.
I did explain the argument. I explained it in this video, and so the audience at this point that is watching this video, they know exactly what the argument is, and they know why you missed it, Graham, because you weren't trying to listen to what I was saying or to what Eli was saying in the very beginning. You want to nitpick because you want to show something wrong with free grace, and that's where your bent is. And so you're going to be dissatisfied, you know, until you find something like that. And then you're going to be dissatisfied with free grace on the flip side of that.
What the Calvinist does to me as well. Oh, you just don't understand. You just don't understand. You just don't
Okay, well, I'm going to work on not saying those words you don't understand.
Understand. Just don't understand. Well, explain it. Explain it.
I did.
What did I miss? How much of this video should I have listened to so that I could understand?
A lot more than what you did.
What am I missing? You just don't understand. 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 I can do that all day as well, Charles.
And read that everywhere you have a present tense. But if you have the present tense.
No. You can't just focus on the present tense.
Who's making the rules here? If Eli is focusing on the argument of the Calvinists about the present tense, then that's not the argument about the lemma, the lexical word that's bringing in.
My understanding of the Greek, and I don't know Greek, you claim to know Greek better than me, and you probably do, except for your faulty thinking about theology. My understanding is that practicing comes from it being a present tense participle.
Okay, what's happening here is this. When he's hearing the word practicing, he's not understanding. Yeah, he's right. That the English word practicing, ing word indicates a participle. All right. But the thing is that he's not realizing is that whenever when you indicate something is continuous or habitual, like for example, when we say we have been saved, we are being saved, that's a be verb with an ing ending, basically. So it's the same idea, is that just be and so we're not, and first off, many parts of speech can do the same thing, the same function in the Greek. So, you know, you can have a to be verb with a participle and have a periphrastic force. You can have a to be verb with an infinitive, a complementary infinitive. You can have different ways and to bring about a certain force of something. And so I understand what he's thinking about the participle, but it's too simplistic, and that's fine. I don't expect him to grasp everything in the Greek. I even think I mentioned it in this first video, Challenge Grahame Gould. But I don't think he got that far. Or actually, remember he did, because he watched the video, but he only chose to react or pseudo react to certain parts. So this rage quitting thing was a choice to not deal with all the arguments, but we'll see how it unfolds.
You can't just go, oh, present tense. No, it's not always practicing. It's not always the ing. And Eli is using the word practice.
Also, the continuous aspect can be indicated by other things besides just the ing.
Practicing here, which doesn't fit the verb of the verse that he's talking about.
And furthermore, both passages are verbs, not part of the participles, if we're talking about the main verb of each one of the passage.
You can keep ignoring that and pretending that's just a pedantic point, but practicing is the idea. You're attacking. Where's the
You hear this?
screwdriver, Kevin? Charles.
He wants a screwdriver, guys. He wants to stab himself in the eye or do something crazy like that. He's a cartoon character, man.
You haven't explained anything. Oh, you just don't understand. Well, explain it to me. I don't think you're understanding the point that I'm making, Charles.
I understand your point. I could still man you if you like.
Passage there because you haven't explained anything that contradicts the point
Well, let me know in this video if I explain things
that I've made. Then that
we're not focusing on your point right now. We're trying to convey Eli's point, but you keep interrupting.
Would lead to saying that you continuously sin.
No. If you bother actually listening to me present my argument.
We're not talking about you, dude. How many times? Oh my goodness. But I forgot. He's not actually in this room, so it's not like I'm repeating myself and he can actually hear me, you know. He can hear me after it's recorded, but that's what it feels like, guys.
I haven't presented the argument yet. I've only made an assertion.
We're not talking about your argument. We're talking about Eli's argument.
So far, I haven't proven it. Good gracious, man.
That's the point.
See, I actually listened to Eli. I listened to this clip. And then I went, I don't understand what Eli's talking about. It seems to me he's made a number of mistakes. And so I thought I would stream about this. You didn't bother listening to me.
I understand why, but you have partial knowledge in these areas. Now, I have partial knowledge in other areas, but in these areas, I can help you to understand these issues. If you wouldn't be so antagonistic and coming at me, you know, it'd just be easier for me to explain these things. But, you know, either way, you're going to learn.
You keep jumping in and interrupting me before I can even get to say anything. And you're saying I don't understand.
Pot calling the kettle black.
When you don't even understand what I'm about to argue, because you haven't listened to it yet. And what he actually means is verse 8.
Okay, fine. 8. So what I'm going to do is...
Which is a different verb. Don't say, okay, fine. You haven't listened to my argument yet. It's not practicing in verse 8. In verse 8...
We're talking about Eli.
8. I can't remember what the verb is. The verb is have, I think. I can't remember because I did this a while back. 1 John. You still there, Kevin? Are you am I missing anything? What on earth is he going on about? Oh, no. Kevin went away for a short time. Because I'd like your thoughts on this as well. I mean, I've been going for 20 minutes, and I don't understand anything that Charles is saying. Yeah, Kevin says, who knows? Well, that's probably true. That's fairly typical of Charles. He lives in this little world that most people go, what on earth are you talking about? Except other fake racists go, oh, yeah, you're such a great scholar.
Graham, I can explain it to you.
Charles and the rest of us are going, what on earth are you talking about?
I'm going to pull up... let me tell you what happens.
So my opposition brings these sophisticated arguments, meaning they make special appeals to the Greek. But yet, whenever they make special appeals to the Greek, they're reductionistic. In other words, they want to claim that the present tense is continuous habitual all the time. So what that causes me to have to do is I have to explain the Greek verbal system, syntax, aspect, all of those things. And I've been doing this for a couple years now, I think, on here. Maybe it's been 2 years. I don't know, 1.5 years, whatever it may be. And of course, a person that's just coming into it is not going to understand all that. But go back and watch my debates. Watch my debates and take notes on all 16 of them. And tell me you don't see development. And tell me you don't understanding. And also tell me if you don't see where I actually improved and refined stuff because of y'all's criticism. I'm constantly tweaking things.
I haven't even watched this video yet. All right.
I know. I know.
But I don't expect much from Grahame.
Yeah, I know. I know. You come in with these presuppositions and you make accusations against me that are really shallow and empty instead of, hey, let's listen to what Grahame has to say and then deal with his actual.
Okay, so the next video where he makes an exegetical argument, I will make sure to watch the whole video, and I will make sure to begin my video with, hey, let's listen to what Grahame has to say. Okay, I can work on that.
Argument instead of, oh, you just don't understand when you haven't even heard my argument. Just like every cult does to me.
So I'm just going to share my screen. I'm going to pull up the Greek for 1 John 5:8.
Sorry, I pulled it up, but don't bother listening to me.
All right. UBS 5.
Yeah, that's right. He trusts.
No, the reason he's criticizing this just because I use all the manuscripts, not just the critical text. But I never knew he had this view. But anyway, the reason I'm bringing up the Greek myself is because I did a translation on the spot. Now, I make mistakes and I correct those mistakes and I work through those on the spot. I've been taught to do that, to make my translation not based on a code at the bottom, not based on, what the thing tells me, not based on color coding alone. Now, I do teach a color coding for people that are learning Greek and stuff, but I've been taught to do as much as I possibly can without that. Now, I can't always do that. There's a lot of times wherever I have to go down there and look, but that's how I learn. That's how I teach. That's inductive, where you don't work, you try to do your best to work through what you have, and then you go back and you see what you missed, and then you fill in that blank, that's inductive. And so you're going to criticize me in the midst of the process. You'll see. Watch, guys.
The faulty manuscripts. Of course he does.
And then the other thing is this. How many other people do you know? And don't get me wrong, there's some heavyweights. I'm not talking about James White or things like that. How many people do you know? And let me also qualify this. 1 John, the Greek's very easy to read. How many people do you know that could translate from the Greek without many or any helps,
What a surprise. Yeah, have is the verb.
Come on.
It's not practice. It's to hold. Well, repeat my argument since he doesn't bother listening to it.
Hamartion uk ekamen hiatus planomen kai elatia uk estin in humin. All right. So if anyone may say, or if we say, you got the eon.
See, notice I said if anyone may say. And so if one may say, that was what was in my mind initially. But then I clarified it and said, if we say, okay? Because I was reading it too fast, and I was like, wait a minute, there's no pause here. There's no anything that's indicating anyone. So I was like, if we say.
Plus a subjunctive indicating third class condition that, so this is a content clause, that we have not sinned. Right?
So you notice, whenever you use logos and you have the hover function on, you'll see at the bottom the information showing up. I'm reading this. I'm talking about third class conditions, haughty clauses, content clauses, syntactical issues, kind of doing a mental, verbal, oral clausal analysis right now. No helps. Just going from there. And this is how he's responded.
Mistake already, if any one of us.
Right? He's pointing out that mistake, which I already caught. Here, I'll go ahead and play it back. And I was also trying to rush.
Whereas sinning
All
is
right,
the verb.
so ion epomen hati hamartion uk ekamen hiatus planomen kai alatia uk estin in humin. All right, so if anyone may say, or
So initially I said, if anyone may say, right? Well, watch what I say. Or
if we say, you got
if we say,
the eon plus the subjunctive indicating third class condition that, so this is a content clause, that we have not sinned.
He's made a
Echoman.
mistake already, if any one of us. Now, it would have been great if you had have prepared this beforehand.
I make mistakes all the time. Well, if I had prepared beforehand, would I be demonstrating to anybody that I can read the Greek? That I can actually evaluate syntactical categories from my own observation, that I'm not using any tools? That's why I did that. So of course my accuracy's this is not a polished presentation. If you want a polished presentation, I give those. I've given them before. And I can freestyle even and do very accurately if I have time to prepare.
But now you're making mistakes because you're trying to rush translating the Greek directly.
Yeah, that's true. But that's what you're supposed to do. And maybe not rush is the right word, but you're supposed to translate it, look back through, make sure you got everything accounted for, adjust that translation, think about the syntax related to that, bring out the syntactical force, retranslate it, and so on.
And let me prove any one of us, if we say that we have no sin. 1 John chapter 1. And I'm focusing on this not just out of pedantry. So if we say, the word say there indicates us, because it's in, let me find it.
I'm back.
It is in the first person plural. So it's we, not anyone. If anyone says, no, if we.
So this is what I'm talking about. All right. So he's talking about men. All right. You have a omega right here, a lengthening vowel right here indicates a subjunctive. Okay, those are some 10. Otherwise, you have your vowels that go O, E, E, O, E, O. Now these are your primary endings, okay? So what this will show up in is if we were doing the word say to speak or whatever, we would use Lego. And let me clarify this. Let me clean this up. So we would do Lego. L-E-G-O, right? Lego. That's O. If we were to, so that would be I speak, right? This is the indicative. Then if I said leges, that's you speak. And lege is he, she, it speaks. Sorry, I forgot the G in these. So lege would be he, she, it speaks. And then legamen, L-E-G-O, men. Legamen, this is we speak, right? See, the O is the Omicron, and men is we. And then it would be legate, which would be y'all speak, and legusin would be they speak. Now, there's nothing special about this. This paradigm, anyone that's had first year grammar, Greek grammar, probably has this paradigm memorized. Okay. Now, could I do this with the subjunctive? I don't know. I don't know if I could break down the whole paradigm of that. I'm not even going to try. But my point is that when I'm looking at the Greek text, I'm actually analyzing it. I'm not just reading a parsing code at the bottom. And these guys want to be stuck there. Now Nicholas is developing a vocabulary through the slow process that he's doing. But there was a time, and I still want to do it. I want to help Graham and Kevin and Nicholas and all them that have an interest in Greek to go deeper in certain areas. Just the teachability factor, you know. I mean, Kevin's met with me at certain times, you know, there's schedule factors on that sense. But I mean, you know, if Graham wants me to go on his channel and teach Greek or Hebrew, just like I was doing on Praise's channel, and if they're wanting to keep up with it, then I'll do that. You know, I want everybody to have access to these tools and stuff. I don't care if you disagree with me. Everyone has should have the right to be able to study as deep as they want to study. Okay, so going forward.
We say that we have no sin, or that sin we do not have is the Greek order. G'day, Kevin. Any thoughts so far? Is any of this making any sense from Charles?
No. From what I've heard so far is he didn't let the argument play, and he didn't let the whole clip of Eli play, and he didn't give you a chance to present your objections to what he was saying. He was like, quick.
So I didn't allow the whole clip to play, but yet I'm going in chronological order. All right. Keep that in mind. I'm going in the order of the video. I'm not skipping around. So when he says I didn't let the video play, the reason being is because I want to demonstrate that I can examine and evaluate the Greek before we even look at anything else. And then I will compare my results to Graham's and others. Okay. I'm doing my own work here. What's wrong with that?
Quick to make assertions and things. So
Nicholas is claiming that Charles did say we.
So, Ian Epomin Hati Alatia Uk Esten in Humidity, or if we say, you got the anyone may say, or if, all right, so if anyone may say, or if we say.
No, not or if we say. It is if we say. So, yeah, Nicholas is right. He did say the we, but he first of all said if anyone may say or if we say. No, it's not an or. It's if we say. Because it's in the first person plural. So it is if we say, not anyone.
Yeah, I know. I corrected myself.
He didn't change, Nicholas. He said or. Was he correcting himself? Well, he didn't say he was correcting himself. Or can mean either your interpretation or my interpretation. I don't know which interpretation. Because he didn't say.
So now he's criticizing my use of or. Okay, I'll try to work on the word or. The word or refers to an alternative. You can have a right alternative and a wrong alternative. But okay.
He was correcting himself. He said or. He didn't say, oh, sorry, if we say. That would have been correcting himself, clearly. He could have meant that he was correcting himself, but he didn't say that. So I'm not going to.
All right, I'll work on that. Whenever I catch myself in making a mistake, I will say sorry.
That's Nicholas.
You got the eon plus the subjunctive indicating third class condition. That, so this is a content.
Eon plus the subjunctive indicating the third class. What did he say? Blah, 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 blah.
Third class
Anyone
condition.
may say, or if we say, you got the eon plus the subjunctive indicating third class condition. That, so this is a content clause.
Yeah. See, he hasn't said that it's not anyone. He said anyone or we.
That we have not sinned. Okay. Ekomen. Ekomen is present active indicative. Okay. So
Yeah, but it's a different verb. Whereas over in 1 John 3:6, which I do think I made a mistake there, he did refer to 1 John 3:6, and there is that which is born of God does not sin. No, is that it? So in 1 John 3:6, it is, little children, let no man deceive you. No, that's 7. Whosoever abideth in him does not sin. The verb there is sin. The verb.
It's interesting that Nicholas says I'm not interested in Charles. Why, Nicholas? I mean, I don't mind if you're not interested, but at one time you tried to say that I misrepresented Reformed theology, and now that I've debated these other Reformed people, I guess you didn't want to really debate anyway. You know, you were supposed to be taking me to task and all of that stuff because of my misrepresentation of Reformed theology or something like that. So I guess you gave up on that, right? I guess after you saw enough Reformed people that I debated in the ring, you realize I do understand those things and I do understand their position.
In 1:8 is have, and sin is a noun. You can't compare these things the way that Eli did and the way that Charles is assuming and just shrugging his shoulders and going, oh, yeah, okay, but it's still present. I'm not arguing that it's not present. Yes, it is present. The having is the present, not the practicing. That was Eli's argument, that you've got to apply practicing back in 1.8. Tell me I'm misunderstanding.
He's misunderstanding. The practicing is his way of translating the force of the, if a person takes it as continuous habitual.
Understanding the argument, Charles, and tell me how I'm misunderstanding it.
I just told you.
I'm not misunderstanding it. Nicholas says, anyway, I'll let you be. I'm not interested in Charles. I was thinking this would be about Charlie Michaels having done a video on you, which I was curious about. I know you specified Jennings, but I overlooked that. Good night, shalom. Okay, that was quick. Okay. Well, I would have liked your help a little on this, Nicholas, if you're interested in offering it any help in the Greek. Yeah, I'm not.
No, Nicholas don't want to get out there. He don't want to get out there about his challenge to me about the reform stuff, and he don't want to get out there challenging me on the Greek. And does he know things I don't know? Yeah, there's some things he knows that I don't know, but they don't have, it just isn't all clicking for them. That's the best way to say it.
I'd like you to listen to this and then study those two verses and to the point.
They're not firing on all cylinders or whatever.
That I'm arguing that it's a different verb, so you can't import practicing from 3:6 or 3, because there's another place where people try to translate it practicing in 3:9. So 3:6 and 3:9, there are people that translate it practicing because sin is in the present active. Is it participle? Let me just check that. And the argument that sin is in the present active indicative. Sorry, it's indicative. It's not, so it shouldn't be translated as practicing. It's a declaration about sin.
What verse is that? You say verse 6?
6, and then I'm going to go to 9 shortly. So, emartenai, it is present active indicative. Now, he wants to only focus on present tense. Yeah, but that doesn't indicate practicing. So that's where they're wrong. They're not.
He doesn't understand. One category for the present tense is customary habitual, and you would translate it as continuous, or another word for continuous would be practicing or habitually or something like that.
Not wrong, because fake graces want to try and import it back into 1.8, which is a different verb, and that would be having.
It's imported from the force of the tense of the syntactical category, not from the lexeme.
If you want to do the same thing.
Yeah,
let's go down to verse 9. Actually, I should be putting this on the screen, shouldn't I?
Yeah, you're right. So it's indicative, present active.
If you could put it up on the screen, that'd be useful. Then I don't have to flick backwards and forwards between his video and eSword.
Sure.
So I'll show people, tell me when you've got it up on the screen. So I'll show people, here's the present active indicative. VPAI means present active indicative. If you don't believe me, go check it out for yourself, but that's what that means. That's Robertson's.
See, yeah, they're using the parsing and all of that. And that's fine. That's what they're using. But like I said, I did what I did to show that I can analyze the Greek and that I was doing my own work before I ever made a comment on their stuff.
Morphological analysis, telling me the form of that verb, because I don't know Greek well enough. And then if I go down to 3:9, you got it up yet? 3:9, that which is born of God does not sin. Which is born of God, sin, no, not to make. Word. So here, the present active indicative is of the word poieo, to make or to do. To make or to do, to abide, to agree, to appoint, to.
And see, the thing is that Kevin has Wallace's grammar. He could have went to the discussion of these passages, and he would have been exposed to the customary habitual, the gnomic, as well as a proleptic or eschatological sense of taking the present tense.
It's got a massive list of, but the fundamental.
And had they would have finished my video and kept playing me playing my older videos, you would have seen all that, because I did all that.
Mental idea is broadly to make or to do. But it's once again present active indicative, but again, a different verb. So practicing might be legitimate in, and Charles is right. It's a choice that they're making.
You hear that? Charles is right. It's a choice that they're making. Why didn't he say this at the beginning of the video?
But the choice that Eli made, and Charles is still supporting it, is to try to import.
Eli was not making the choice. Eli was quoting how the Calvinist makes that choice. And then he was showing that if they were consistent to that, because what he wanted to do was to show that it's not always customary habitual. So what he does is if he shows that if you take both passages as customary habitual, you lead to a contradiction. Because one of them says one cannot continue sinning theologically, and the other one says that if we say that you don't continue to sin, you're a liar. So which is it? Can you not continue to sin, or can you continue to sin? And that was the whole point. And therefore that means that the person would have to reevaluate how they take the present tense in both passages.
That into a completely different verb that can't mean practicing to try to destroy the argument. No, the way you
I'm not trying to destroy the argument. I'm just trying to explain that you're making a lexeme argument, but it's a syntactical issue of evaluation of the present tense.
destroy the argument is that it's not a participle. It's an indicative. So it's a statement about reality, or a claimed statement about reality.
It's portrayal reality. The indicative mood is not a statement of reality. It's the portrayal reality. It's not a one-for-one correspondence.
It's a present active indicative. God is saying that which is born of him does not practice sin, does not make or do sin, which you could summarize as does not sin. But if you want to be literal Greek, does not do a sin is more literal Greek in verse 9. But his argument wasn't from verse 9. His argument was from verse 6. And in verse 6, it was sin is the verb.
Right.
And it's in the present active indicative. But it's a different verb. Right, now you can choose to translate that as practice sin. I don't agree with that. It just means don't sin or will not sin.
So he's finally saying that you can choose to practice it and specify that way in this video. You know, so insane.
Those who abide in him don't sin. Or I would like to point out that Nicholas might be onto something with sin is not the best translation all the time. Miss the mark is a more literal understanding of what's going on. And sometimes it's not sin in the sense of transgressing God's law. It's sin in the sense of failing to reach the goal or missing the target or in another sense.
Right.
But anyway, let's get back to Charlie Michaels. Have you got your e-sword? You still haven't got your e-sword up.
You mean Charles Jennings, not Charlie Michaels?
Oh, sorry, Charles Jennings. Yes, you're right. Heaven forbid I should confuse two different cults with each other.
So this is probably what Eli is referring to, but we'll see in a minute.
It doesn't mean practicing. It means holding, carrying. Oh.
I've said it millions of times already, so I'll just keep going.
Because when
Oh, hang on. He's saying I don't understand the argument. He doesn't even know Eli's argument.
I'm double checking the argument. I'm doing my own work. Something wrong with that?
This is probably what Eli's referring to, but we'll see in a minute. But he tells me Graham just doesn't understand the argument. But he hasn't listened to...
Just because I say we'll see in a minute, that refers to the idea that it's going to be unfolded in a minute. It means I'm not unfolding it right then and there.
Eli even present his argument. So he doesn't know Eli's argument, but he's
I
confident
do too. I was in the stream with Eli.
I don't understand Eli's argument. Oh, wow.
And plus, you know how many times I've talked about this passage as well as with Eli and other free gracers? I understand the argument.
Oh, wow. I didn't think it was possible for Charles to get stupider, but there it is.
you have the present tense, you got to evaluate what that means.
Well, it's actually present active indicative. It's not just present tense. Stop only focusing on it being present tense.
The issue is the syntactical category. The voice right now and the mood are not the issues in play. If you want an exact syntactical breakdown, then why don't you classify the active voice? In what way is the active voice functioning? In what way is the indicative functioning? In what way, are all of these things functioning? You want to do a syntactical analysis, have at it. But the issue at hand was a present tense, and that's what we focused on.
It's present active indicative. Indicative is a statement about fact. Or
It's portrayal reality, not necessarily a statement of fact.
a claim to be stating a fact.
That's a little bit better, a claim.
I think Eli.
An active would probably indicate ongoing, if I understand correctly.
No, active refers to who's doing the action, but there's different categories of active, just as there's different categories or subcategories of middle and of passive.
This point is this: if we say that we have not habitually sinned, right?
No, it doesn't mean habitually
I'm talking about Eli.
sinned. Oh, good gracious. What does examen mean, Charles?
It means to have, to hold.
See, you're not even bothering listening to a single thing that I have to say, Charles. Oh, Graham just doesn't understand the argument. Oh, I think I understand the argument extremely well, and I'm
No, you don't. And you're just showing yourself to look more foolish every minute, every moment. I mean, this video is getting redundant and repetitive. But, you know, you're going to learn some way.
pointing out that Eli and you, Charles, don't understand scripture. You don't even.
Okay. We'll see about it. Become a careful student of other believers. You know, I have no confidence that you're studying the scriptures carefully when you can't even study a conversation carefully.
Bothering to examine carefully. You're just focusing on present tense. And so because it's present tense, that
See what he just said? You're just focusing on. No, what it is, we've already narrowed the scope to exactly the issue. And that to you, the scope is not good enough. And so what you're doing is you're just using that as an opportunity to nitpick. In other words, I know that they narrowed the scope, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to argue that they narrowed the scope too much and they left something out. That way I can make a claim to that. And then you want to use your little bit of knowledge in this particular area to try to think that you can undermine our arguments. But all you're doing is the more stuff you bring up, the more analysis I'm going to bring up and the more challenge. Okay, go classify that. Provide your syntactical analysis, provide your causal layout, provide your diagramming. You really want to go to this level, do all that. That's what I had to do in my classes.
they translate as practicing. So therefore, we can import that into every other verse in scripture, which is really, really, really.
We're not saying you can import it. We're showing that the Calvinist has to admit that there's another range or another option besides the customary habitual for a present tense. Still don't understand the argument.
He's stupid. And you know Greek better than that. You're being extremely stupid.
The problem is not my Greek. The problem is you can't understand my English.
Oh,
You reviewed this whole video and you still didn't understand it. Maybe you should have went back and actually watched the argument before I made any comments. Go back to Praise's original video like I did when I began this stream. And maybe you would have understood what was going on.
just calling names again. No, I'm making an argument. I just made an argument. And my argument is that your thinking is stupid, and I showed you why I think that your thinking is stupid.
Then show
I
me
didn't call you stupid.
Show me in debate.
But I said you're being stupid, and I tried to present why if you bother listening to it instead of just saying, oh, he's calling me names.
I don't care if you call me names. It's just going to make you look bad.
Right? If you were to go with that approach, then watch what it says. This one, or maybe it's that one.
Oh, examen doesn't mean practicing. This is so pathetic. Back to your.
You're confusing lexeme and action start of the present tense syntactical category.
So can you go to 1.8 and let's look at the word examen. So King James Plus is probably quicker. 1.8. So 1.8. 1. You're in 3. 1.8. And then if we say we have, let's go into have. I think that's the examen. And then dictionary. Echo, to hold, to seize, possess a person, to have, possess, to have ready, be furnished with, have as a matter of crimination, to have it come out. Now, has he told us which definition of examen has produced, or which meaning of examen we should import the practicing from?
First off, he's not even understanding how to evaluate a lexicon. So let's go ahead and let's evaluate. I don't know which lexicon this is, or if it is a lexicon or word book or what. Let's see what he's got pulled up here. All right. I've used these word before, but okay. So he's looking at mounts. Is this expository words? Probably that. Okay. So echo, he's saying it's pluperfect, and it gives sco. This would be the subjunctive probably. And this is the infinitive. to hold, right? To hold or to have are typically the clause you use. But to seize, that has to do with holding. To possess a person, that means to hold them in some type of sense. So you see in that main idea. ETL, frequently to have ready, be furnished with. Well, if you have something, that means it's furnished. You know, if you say that a house has water, you're or let's say the house has furniture, it's furnished. To have a matter of crimination, that means have a crime, have something against you. To have a command, that means something that's available. Like I have you where I want you. I have your attention. Maybe that's what that means. And I'm not looking at the scriptures. I'm just going in general to give you an idea. To have the power, right? To be able to have in marriage, to have, can I have you as my wife? You know, so the issue is they're all using the term have and hold. The question is it a one-time hold? Is it a continuous hold? Is it someone about to be held? You know, things like that. That's the issue. He, like I say, he doesn't know how to use these resources, and I will gladly teach him. That's what the layman seminary is for.
No, this is not about practicing. This is about holding or possessing. If we say that sin is not following us around everywhere, that it's not plaguing us, that we don't have...
So if you keep on holding something, would you call that practicing? Would you call it habitual? If you continuously hold on to Jesus, as the Arminian says, for salvation, don't you understand that in that sense? Of course, it's not right for salvation.
Have a sin in nature, we deceive ourselves. That's the point of the verse. It's got nothing to do with practicing. You can't import practicing into this because
we know theologically, but we're showing the Calvinists why they're inconsistent. That's the whole point. I am not truly importing it into the text, and neither is Eli. You can't follow diatribe, and no wonder, because that's why you can't interpret James chapter 2 correctly.
different verb is translated by some people as practicing. This is not about practicing. There's no way in which that word means practicing.
He needs to practice how to read.
But this imbecile is focusing only on the present and assuming, well, if it's present over there, that means practicing, then present over here must mean practicing. And that's the stupidity of the argument. That's the argument that I'm destroying. And Charles is supporting that argument.
He's destroying.
By ignoring that it's a completely different
He's
verb.
destroying. The only thing
There's
he's
no sense in
doing.
which this verb means practicing.
He's destroying. But the only thing he's doing is destroying his credibility. You know.
Imbecile.
So now he brought up the primary verb, right? Alternate form, a scale, use a certain tense only. To hold, and so it's pretty much all the same thing, right? These, to eat, to enjoy, everything involves some type of state, if you will, to hold onto a state or something like that. That's all this is saying.
I'm done with this. The rest of this is just going to be based on this faulty reasoning.
So he's done with this. Well, we're going to see what he dismissed. And I'm not going to play the whole video because y'all seen that video, or you can go back and watch it on my channel. But we're going to go back just like the outline I gave in the beginning. I'm going to show y'all what he's excluding. And y'all can call him to account.
And he's coming to it deliberately being dumb. Deliberately choosing, oh, Graham just doesn't understand. And Graham's probably just attacking me and every other free gracer because I'm going to have my defenses up and attack back right from the very beginning.
Okay. You know, I'm not going to accuse you. I'll do my best, Graham, to not accuse you of attacking. I'll work on that. Still, you got to deal with the arguments.
Because he just wants to assume that Graham can't ever possibly be right. Charles is...
It's funny because in this video, he says Charles is right. After he says I'm wrong, to certain places, he says Charles is right.
My wife's saying in the background, it's called a narcissistic person. Yeah, perfect example.
Okay. Well, your wife must be a very gracious person.
Well, here. Just assume that you're right, Charles. Well, there you go. I've wasted enough time on this garbage. Screaming soon. Anything.
Well, Graham, if you feel like further torturing yourself because it's been a short
Margie says, can I have...
Whatever.
Well, maybe. Maybe I'll have... It's not us. We don't believe in free will. Not in the way that he's talking about it. Calvin's, even though they hate Calvinism,
spiritual retard.
But I think I'm going to take a break for a while.
Grace Osas. Yeah, and he emailed it.
No, be very careful about claiming that.
Right.
And the fake graces go, oh yeah, but they believe, so therefore they have eternal security. No matter Calvinists, don't blame me.
Seeing if there's anything
or
else.
something like that. And it doesn't even agree with the way he translates faith.
NS, new standard, revised standard. So God has never my name like that. Which literally means works. Are you the only one?
Can't get mad for
With
me skipping
what
through
you
this
want to
part. He sure skipped
anyway,
a
I'm
whole
done.
lot of my video.
He's a soy boy.
And he said it's
Jesus Christ
done.
is Lord. That would be so awesome to have that as a.
All right, so now let's go to my channel and we're going to see what he left out. All the stuff that he left out. And I'm just going to skim it and just show you how much content is actually in the video. Was that a video or was it a live?
Welcome to the Layman Seminary. I just got out of church and I've wanted to take this time to try to make a trailer.
Get some better internet soon. Let me just type in challenging. See, when I was trying to reach Young Don, I made these challenging Young Don videos. So here's challenging Grahame Gould. Challenging or not to be hateful, they're to challenge other Christians. I made
running a small business takes
Corey
grit and
Minor as
determination
well.
and a fast, reliable communication solution from Spectrum Business. Just $49.99 a month for 300 megabits per second internet when bundled with Spectrum Business Connect, plus a free mobile line, all from Spectrum Business.
Okay, pick a door. Door A, you're getting ready to start a business and you go look at rent in a mall to get a space. You have to get inventory. You have
Okay. So we're gonna
Welcome
go.
to the Layman Seminary. I thought I was going to rest. Me and Ekamin, higatus, planomen, kai alatia uk estien in humin. All right. So 8, if anyone may say, or if we say, you got the eon plus a say. All right. So anyway, it assumes a continuous habitual force. And that is Eli's point, that they make decisions. That if you even took that one, then that would be self-contradictory. So that's his point. Habitually sin, continuously habitually have sin. He let's see here. Planomen. All right. So this would be we ourselves. So we deceived ourselves.
So I don't think I even got that that Graham got this far in the video. I'd have to go back and look. But what's ironic is I make the point very clear what I'm saying that Eli is doing, is you'll hear.
And the truth is not in him. So if anyone may say that he does not continually habitually have sin, then he have deceived ourselves. Okay. And this looks like a subjunctive too, but this could be an example of a contract. Yeah, this is present tense also. So you could be a real jerk about this, and you could say, if anyone may confess that we have not continually habitually sinned, then we have continually habitually deceived ourselves, and the truth is not continuously habitually in us. That's if you assume that every time the present is being used, that it assumes a continuous habitual force.
Now, Brother Graham watched this video, but Brother Graham did not understand this video. He could not even make it 9 minutes into this video. This video is 1 hour and 38 minutes long, and he could not make it in 9 minutes in to hear this. Had he had just waited 9 minutes, he would have got the answer that he wanted.
And that is Eli's point, that they make decisions. That if you
They are the Calvinists.
even took that one, then that would be self-contradictory. So that's his point. Let's see where Grahame goes with this. Grahame Gould. Let's see what Grahame goes. All right. Present. Share screen again. I'll check and see if my phone is done charging so I can see who's on the chat. No, what's egregious is the fact that you don't understand the argument, but you wanted to make a video as soon as possible. You know, I was so confident. Now, I may be being hypocritical on this, but as soon as I saw that you called out Eli and I was there in the stream, and so I know the context of that, I jumped on this because I wanted to do a first.
See, he heard all this. Supposedly, if he actually watched the video, if he didn't watch the video, then he accused me of doing something, of failing to do something that he wouldn't do himself. So I don't know what the issue is there, but there's a whole bunch of stuff in here that he hasn't even touched and interacted with. And this is common, you know. Let me just show y'all something. Look, I even played my video on 1 John where I'm analyzing things. I go into the Greek, Wallace, all that stuff. So that's all there for y'all to examine, translation comparison, all of that stuff there. All right. But
hopefully what I say in here.
But and there's errors in this. You know, it was observational and tentative and preliminary, as all my stuff is. It's subject to change. It's open to correction. But this is the thing. If I go back, to Praise's channel, see, there was a time whenever I replied to Graham's video in a very professional, exegetical way. I can't remember that I was being negative in any type of way. I mean, in comparison to him, for sure. But let's see if we can find this on Praise's channel. Okay. It's actually is one of the ones that has Grahame in the title. And I think I'm the one reviewing Grahame. So like Charles joins to review Grahame or something like that. Come on. Charles comes to teach Greek. Oh, it's not it. To review Grahame and Kevin. Is this it? Let's see. I thought I was only reviewing Grahame. I need to get closer to the mic. My back's bothering me. Yeah, this is it. Man, I challenge y'all to go back and watch this video. And I'm dealing with all of their arguments. And this is before the Eli stuff ever happened.
Investigation and how words work
2
in the Greek
months
and ancient
ago.
times in that culture. See, like this is what you have to do the Hebrew too. You can't just judge, you know, art with.
I think Praise was on his best behavior.
I just don't agree with that. I don't think that
video.
fits reality. The new mind in Christ is a
Automatic. But the thing is that most people they're thinking in their mind that okay, it's going to get more and more automatic, right?
as if God is actually doing something to you externally.
Where you have.
So anyway, Brother Grahame, if you decide to reply to this, you can either reply to the content in this video, this older video, wherever we sought to be very biblical focused and deal with your arguments and not name call and all those things, right? Or you can deal with the other video that you only made it 9 minutes in, at least as far as your review / reaction or whatever. But yeah, hopefully y'all understand what's going on. You know, I showed you Praise video. I showed you Graham's reaction of that video. And then I showed you on my video to clarify things. So just starting from the beginning, Grahame reviewed my video where I was reviewing Graham's review of Praise's stream that include Eli giving his critique of 5-point Calvinism's inconsistency. Eli's argument was as follows. One, I'm doing this so y'all see that I haven't changed anything up. The Calvinist claims that the present tense is habitual in those passages. Eli's counter is, would it be consistent with that 1 John 1:8? Even though he used the word 1 John 1:9, he meant 1 John 1:8, and he said that won't work. And so he was countering the theology, and he was focusing on the present tense syntax. I said that Grahame argues Eli is wrong since it's a different verb. And then everything else, that was it. He argued from lexical data, actually glosses, not even lexical data so much, for why it was supposedly wrong about the practicing, to translate the continuous habitual force. He misunderstood Eli quoting the Calvinists, and then he acted like Eli was saying the same thing as the Calvinists. So my reply, I attempted to focus on the text. It was a reaction video, and I applied the same standard, but I still wanted to clarify the issue, and that's why I showed you all of that. All right, guys. God bless. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell to get notification. Give us a thumbs up to help with the algorithm. Share this with others. And if you feel like God wants you to bless the ministry, or you've been blessed through the ministry, then you can donate through PayPal link that's underneath most videos or underneath the about section. And like we have super chats and things like that whenever we're live and all that. God bless, guys.